Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Learn to Speak Malay Like a Local. My name is Lisa and the point of today's video is to gauge the amount of interest from my viewers, you guys, in the book that I am currently writing. A Malay language book written in English, of course. Over the years, quite a number of people asked me whether or not I've written a book and they would like to buy it. But I don't like to be presumptuous and assume that there's such a huge market for this book that I'm planning to write or am already writing. And I don't want to assume that I know what people need from a book. So this is me doing my research and my due diligence. Also, if there's anyone who knows how to do research before writing a book, please let me know because this is my first time. I've never done this before. Okay, so the point of this video is to explain what I have in mind for this book. So if you are one of the people who are interested in buying this book, I implore you to watch this whole video without skipping because I need you to consider the points that I have for this book and if you agree with it or not. And there are about 7 questions at the end of this video that I would like to ask everyone, and if you can answer them, I would be really happy. And of course, if you have any extra points, please do contribute. That would really help make this book more suitable for your situation. So the structure of this video, I have talking points, is first I'm going to talk about the objective of the book and the assumptions that I have about what people need, which is what I need you to comment on. All the thought process, the logical thought process that goes into making this book practical, and what I feel is practical to include in the meat of the book, which is basically vocabulary, right? But situational vocabulary in this particular book. And why I say this particular book, because does that mean that there's going to be book number 2 or number 3? I will get to that in a bit. So right now, let's talk about the objective. And I have 3. And they are, I wrote here, safe, confidence, encouragement. Okay, so let me explain that because they sound quite vague. So what I have in mind for the book is to have sort of like a really reliable local friend who will not let you down. This friend who is guiding you around Malaysia and explaining the context and telling you which words and which phrases to use. And you feel safe in using it. That's where the word safe comes from, because you feel like you're guided by someone local who knows what's going on and stops you from committing a social faux pas. And from this feeling of security, you will have more confidence to go out there and use these words with actual Malaysians. And through exercises and successes in your daily communications with people, you will gain more encouragement. And these feelings, the catalyst of this objective, actually comes from this book, Korean Hangul for Beginners. It's from Tuttle, and Tuttle has a lot of books, but they're not all good. This one, this 60 ringgit book, is worth its weight in gold. More actually. And it's not the only Korean book I have. I have 2 more and several more that I left in Malaysia. Oh, by the way, I'm in Seoul, Korea right now. I've been here for 2 weeks. That's why I've been really busy. And I'll be here for a couple of months. I'm not too sure yet. I have a flexi flight ticket to return back to Malaysia. So yeah, a couple of months. Hamizan is here too. But I digress. Yeah, that's why I'm learning Korean. But using this as an example, these 2 books felt useless to me because they're just basically, you know, your typical phrase books, situational content. One is by Tuttle and one is by Lonely Planet. And they were all useless to me until I got this book and I learned Hangul, which is Korean writing. Korean characters, and the way this book presents information and explains things is so good that I felt a huge sense of accomplishment just from doing the exercises. As you can see in the picture, I am sort of a fan of rote learning. It's quite basic, but because of this, I will never ever forget you know, the words aga and apa and awe-inspiring. Omoni. I'm still struggling with the pronunciation, which is mother. And of course, kamsahamnida and annyeonghaseyo. So they are basic, but I will never forget these words. And because this book gives me such a strong foundation of the basics, I feel this confidence to go out there and do more and learn more. I feel a lot of encouragement. And these are the feelings that I want to elicit from my readers when they have my book. I want them to feel safe. Okay, so safe, confident, encouraged. 3 objectives. I hope that's clear. Okay, since we already have the objectives, let's move on to the how. And the how is, of course, is very different from Korean because Malay and Korean are 2 completely different languages. You don't have to learn alphabets because we use Roman alphabets. Other than very quick introductions to pronunciation, which can be covered very, very quickly because it's not that complicated, I really had to think properly on what are the basics, the foundation of Malay language. So I'm thinking of starting with explaining to you all the different types of Malay that exist in Malaysia generally. For instance, we have formal Malay, written and spoken. So written Malay is almost always formal, except if you go to chats and messages, then it gets really, really chaotic down there. But written and spoken formal Malay, and the frequency or the rarity of its usage. And then we also have standard spoken Malay, the ones that you always hear on TV and on the radio, on the media. And then you have colloquial Malay, the bahasa pasar, the market speak, the ones that everyday Malay people use. And sometimes we use a combination of both. So they bleed into each other. It's not very straightforward, and I understand it's very, very complicated. And then you also have dialects from different states. You have the north, you have the south, you have the east and the west and the middle, and you have Sabah and Sarawak as well. So I'm definitely not covering that, but I will have like quick introductions about them and why I cannot include them in the book. Finally, I will also touch on Malay language in text form, all our favorite short forms for lazy typing. Because quite a lot of people asked about that. So out of all of this, I will focus on standard spoken Malay and the colloquial Malay. And of course, I will also have some comparisons for formal Malay as well, because they're not completely absent from everyday lives, as pointed out by one of my viewers about 2 years ago. So that's basic number 1. And then we have, like I said just now, pronunciation of the alphabets, very straightforward. And then when I really think about what's the foundation of Malay language, my assumption is that if you screw it up, then the language becomes unusable. That would make it a foundation, the basics of Malay language. And when you think about pronunciation, right? Malay language is extremely forgiving when it comes to pronunciation. People butcher it all the time, but it still makes sense. And then when you think about sentence creation and word arrangement in a sentence, Malaysians butcher that all the time as well. I mean, we have so many different races in Malaysia. I'll give you an example. Boleh saya beli barang ni tak? Can I buy this thing? Can I buy this item? But you can also say, ini barang saya mau beli. Boleh? You know, the arrangement is the arrangement is all over the place, but it still makes sense. So again, Malay is extremely forgiving. But the one thing that I feel Malay is not forgiving about is the use of incorrect pronouns. And when it comes to basics, the language is still understandable, but it would offend a lot of people. So I think this is a worthy basic to spend time on. And of course, pronouns mean I and you. And unlike English, Malay people cannot hide behind I and you because there are so many different words to use to address people, especially you. It gets so complex, and I would like you to really understand the importance and the appropriateness of using different things for different situations. And that's why I'll spend quite a huge chunk of time on it. on these pronouns. Yeah, there'll be I, you, he, she, they, but mostly you. I'll give you a quick example for anyone who hasn't seen my videos on pronouns, like saya. I is the most common way of saying I. But even though it is extremely polite, in certain situations it can be quite distant because it's very formal. So sometimes you would like to use something that is probably more intimate, like saying your own name. For instance, my name is Lisa, and when I speak to my family, I refer to myself as Lisa. If in English I want to say, I want to read a book, I could say, saya nak baca buku. But if I start using saya in front of my family, they will think, why do you sound so distant? So I would say, Lisa nak baca buku. In English, it sounds like Lisa wants to read a book. It sounds like I'm talking about somebody else, a third person, but I'm referring to myself. So there is a complexity to Malay pronouns that you need to have a good grasp on so that you don't accidentally offend people. And yeah, pronouns. Okay, moving on. Once we finish with the basics, we will jump straight into the meat of the book. And the meat of the book is, by all intents and purposes, is vocabulary. But I'm not going to do like a long, table of boring words like makan, eat, baca, read. I mean, there's no points, there's no context. So I do like this situational based topics, the ones that you typically see in phrase books like this one. This is the Korean phrase book, so you can see there are greetings and goodbyes, and so you can see a lot of things here. And of course I will have my own additions as well. But when we're talking about basics, right, there would be probably greetings, hello, goodbye, introductions, and then you have all the pronouns and all the questions, who, what, when, blah, 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 and directions, extremely important for survival, and time, days, counting, all these basics. And this is also where I need your input on what you consider basic, because with the amount of context and explanations that I want to include in this book, I cannot possibly cover all of this in one book. So I am going to take only what you call survival words or survival situations, and that will go into the first books, and I will put as much contextual explanations in there as I possibly can. And of course, the differences between Malay that is formal and informal comparisons, just so you can tell the difference. And here comes an assumption. While I'm here in Korea, I am a stranger, I have no friends, and I realized that my only point of contact with the local is the person that I am purchasing something from. If I go to a bakery, I go to the supermarket, which means that for a person who is in Malaysia and doesn't know anyone, your conversation with the person that you're buying from the cashier or the owner of a store, is extremely important. So in this first book, which should be like about survival Malay, I will definitely include quite a lengthy chapter on purchasing something from someone, because for the first few weeks, maybe that person, the person who's selling you something, is probably the only person that you would have any sort of contact with. So if done right, there's a lot that you can learn from it, and it will make you feel less flustered, and you can get things that you need instead of just feeling deflated and like, oh, let's just get that. Speaking from personal experience, I use Google Translate a lot here. Oh, the poor Koreans, they're completely bewildered because I think the Google Translate butchered so many things. But what do I know, right? So this is my idea for book 1, where the meat of the book, the vocabulary, situational topics, will be based on survival Malay. The rest of the topics, the more complex ones, can be in book number 2, number 3, however many it takes. Of course, it will have a similar structure, all the explanations that I am known for all the context. So it will be the same, just different topics. Okay, so after the meat of the book, you have the end, and at the end I have 2 ideas. The first one is sentence creation because you already have the basic vocabulary for you to operate and survive in Malaysia. So I will have a chapter on how you can create simple sentences using a combination of pronouns, verbs, and objects, nouns. Tell me if that sounds appealing, and I'll do my best. And the second one, which I think is quite brilliant, but you tell me, one of the biggest challenges of a language learner is you can say something to someone. You can even get all your pronunciation correct. And then the moment the local realizes that, you speak my language, suddenly they just break into this like, and you just stand there going, I only know how to say this phrase. I have no idea what you're saying. This is a very common situation. So this last chapter will be about controlling the response that you get from people. So hear me out. Sentences like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Can you speak slower? Or I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you please repeat slowly? Or I'm just learning Malay. Can you say it in a more simple way? Or the best thing is, you can condition the response by giving them a choice. If you ask an open-ended question, they will give you like an essay. But if you give them a multiple choice question, then they can pick from the list of answers that you have provided them. For instance, which one is better, this or that? Then they can answer this or that. Which way should I go, left or right? Then they can say left or right. So this is the chapter that I'm working on to help you control to a certain amount the response that you get from a local so that you can actually understand what they're saying. And this should help ease a bit of your challenge in trying to understand what a local is saying. Because honestly speaking, even as a local, I have trouble understanding what some Malaysians are saying because we speak so quickly and this sort of one word merges into another and it just sounds like a slurry of words just going like I'm not a big fan of that, but that's where we are now. Okay, and next, I would like to share some brilliant points given by my viewers. Some of the most common type of comments that I get is that phrase books on the market do not really serve them in terms of speaking in a way that locals speak because it's usually formal Malay and they don't really make the distinction between formal and informal. And even if they do, it's not really, there's not much explanation, so they don't feel very secure using it. And yeah, that's something that I'm definitely trying to address. And this one is, okay, so this is one of my favorite viewers. His name is Markus Masseli, and he gives really good, constructive, thoughtful comments on my videos. And this was a comment that he made in my Facebook community group. In summary, he's saying what we have in abundance in the market is the kind of simple everyday phrases for tourists, but the phrases are not explained. So the only thing you can do with these books is to memorize them without knowing whether you sound appropriate or not, or if you sound like a local or not. And I understand that. And then he uses vocabulary apps. It's a very motivated Malay learner. He uses vocabulary apps, and again, no context. And sometimes when you have words that have similar meanings, there is no explanation on how they're used differently, because if you have two different words, there's a possibility that they're not used the same, right? But vocabulary apps do not do this. And then he also bought several grammar books, but they're too complicated and far removed from everyday usage. And basically his conclusion is he wants something that combines all of these, something where he can learn fundamental vocabulary. And when I think fundamental, I think something that is used on a daily basis, the most frequently used Malay words, and of course that includes survival Malay, and how to use it in the context of everyday situation. So what's appropriate and what's not, you need a lot of explanations, and how the grammar behind it works. Simple grammar, he said, which is okay, because I'm not a Malay teacher, but simple grammar explanation is something that I can deliver. So from all this, he's hoping to build a robust fundamental to communicate with confidence and with context with locals. And then he can further build on it through further communication and exposure. And then, oh, there's a bit more. Between formal and colloquial Malay, it is unclear what is what from books. So at this point, it should not be either or. The book should not be completely formal or completely informal. It should be a combination of both, because what he's saying is true. If you live in Malaysia, you will encounter written Malay, and written Malay is almost always formal, which means that you do need some form of knowledge on formal Malay. But then when you speak with locals, you need informal Malay as well. So what he's expecting from an introductory book is, after going through it, he would have a good basis for everyday conversation and simple reading. And because reading is almost always informal language, it is necessary to learn it as well. Oh, we're at the end. Oh, thank God. I thought this video was going to go on and on. Okay, so I know that was a lot to take. So here are the 7 questions, as promised in the beginning, that I would love for you guys to participate in and respond, because the more people respond, the better the book will be, hopefully. So the first question is, are you interested in purchasing this book that I am currently writing? Question number 2, do my objectives make sense? The whole, security and confidence and encouragement thing. Do you think they are good objectives for a book to have, or do you think that a Malay language book should have different kinds of objectives? Let me know. Number 3, are my assumptions logical? I cannot even remember what they are anymore, but they are right there. So if my assumptions are illogical or the thought process doesn't make sense, let me know. If you agree, let me know. And if you have extra assumptions that should be added, please comment or email me. And anything, just tell me however way you can. The 4th one is, other than pronouns and pronunciation, is there anything else that should go under the basic of basics? Sort of like, the basics of Hangul is Korean writing, right? Hangul is the language. Yes. So if there are anything else that you think that should go under foundation of learning Malay, let me know, and I will definitely consider it. Something that people can build their knowledge upon. Question number 5, for the first book, this book that I'm writing, the meat of the book is vocabulary, and they will be categorized based on situational content. So what situation would you consider to be basic survival Malay? Because like I said, I cannot put all the topics I want into one book. It will be an entire dictionary, because as you know, I'm an over-explainer. And question number 6, do you like the idea for the last 2 chapters of the book, that is sentence creation and controlling the response that you get from the local that you're speaking to? If you think it's a good idea, let me know. If you have better ideas, let me know as well. And then the last and 7th question is there anything you would like to add or subtract? And those are the 7 questions. I am very, very interested to know your responses, and after I have collected enough responses and think about it more, I will come up with another video to discuss this book more. I'm not going to go into this blindly. This video will be uploaded on Instagram as well. I don't know if that's possible. Do they take like super long videos? I'm gonna try. I will also post this video, the main points, on other platforms like Reddit. I don't have an account there. I should create one. Maybe Sierra Lease, maybe Speak Malay Like a Local. We'll see. I'll put it over there. And you can have a discussion over there as well. And I will post it on Facebook as well, this video in the descriptions. Also, I have started Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon. So for anyone who would like to support this project financially, these are the links. These are the links. And I feel so shameful asking for money. All the links and descriptions are down below in the description box. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you would like to support what I'm doing, please comment and share and like. The more engagement, the more support I get. Yes. Oh, okay, I'm gonna try my best. I feel like this book is gonna take a long time, but if I can limit the number of chapters that goes into the meat part of the book, which is the situational content, right? Then the book could be completed much sooner than expected. I don't want to say how long, let's say a couple of months, because I'm gonna try my best. I always overestimate my efficiency and then I underdeliver, which is not good because in business you're supposed to underpromise and overdeliver. So I'm not telling you how long the book is going to take, but I will give you constant updates. Oh, by the way, since I'm in Korea now, I have so many questions to ask fellow Koreans who are I'm not Korean, to ask my Korean viewers on how to make my stay more enjoyable and help with a lot of things. So yeah, wait for my Korean video. And if you're interested, I can give you a tour of the apartment that I'm currently staying in. It's quite small, it's about 300 square feet, I think. Is it 300? 200? I'm very bad at estimation, but I'll show it to you after I clean it up a bit. Okay, so I'm super happy I managed to record this video. I'm very excited. I hope you are too. I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye!